When I started to change my mindset, I looked in the mirror and started to ask myself questions. I've been living in denial for such a long time. When I started to open up that door, I also started to really listen to my body. So when I was tired or when I was exhausted, I took a nap, and sometimes I called in sick. The old stories can come up in situations because it's my body reacting. It's not my mind, it's the body. I would say also pay attention to your dreams. And if you don't remember, write them down. Just so you have them with you. Start to continuously do your own kind of detective pattern discovery work.
Welcome everyone. Today we're going to dive deeper into topics of authenticity and how to connect to your channeling abilities. I have a special guest and beautiful sister whose podcast I've also attended, and we started going deep into that topic. I thought it would be perfect for us to discuss how each of us can really tap into the gifts already available. Welcome, Jaya. Jaya
Thank you.
Jankert is a spiritual mentor, and she is joining us from Europe, from a farm. So,
From the
yeah,
northern.
so to tell us, Jaya, where you on your journey, how you ended up at the farm, what excites you today at your present moment?
Thank you. And thank you for having me. I'm in a magical flow. Everything is just coming with ease because I'm just having so much trust. And I love this. It's something I have been wanting to feel for such a long time. And now it's just here. So I'm just enjoying it. I'm based in Sweden, but I was born in India. So I was adopted to Sweden as a newborn. I've been living here my whole life. Then I've been living abroad as well during this journey. But I think my spirit somehow started when I was 8 years old because I had a big vision back then, but I didn't know. Consciously, I didn't know. Then 10 years ago, before I had my divorce, that's when it really started, I would say, for me to unfold and to start to reprogram my thoughts and everything. Like that's where it started.
You shared with me you were living in the city, and then now you live in a very different lifestyle on this beautiful farm,
Yeah.
and that has completely changed your way in perspective and helped you to open to more downloads and channelings. How did that transition happen for you?
I think we are always guided. So sometimes things doesn't go as planned. And that was the case for us. We were supposed to move into a new apartment, like a new building and everything. And the universe had a different plan. So we ended up here in my cottage on my mom's farm. And of course, that was exactly what's meant to be because here it's so quiet and just to be in the nature, just outside. And we live very simple here. I have felt so much peace within me because then I could just go out and be barefoot. Like that's the number one thing for me. And to just connect with being present in a different way than our previous. We were living in a small apartment before, and that was not the best energy, I would say. I love this place as well, but it's just helped me to open up, to be more present, but also to start to have my spiritual downloads much quicker because there is no other noise. It's just me. And when I have my two children, I have them every other week. But yeah, and my cat. It's just beautiful.
Beautiful. And how do you find, like, in terms of being in nature so much versus in the city, helps you in tap into your channeling abilities, how your day starts? What would be helpful for others as they wake up wherever they are? Maybe they are in the busy city and they don't have the luxury of being on the farm and putting their feet on the grass. Some of the ways that helped you to connect.
Yeah. For example, if you're living in the city, what you can do, and what I do in the mornings, I always dance in the morning and put on music. Then when I go into the shower, if you have a shower or a bathtub, then you have the water. And that's where you can create your own magic, even if you're not going outside. So for me, that is also a place where I can start to visualize my day and put the intention and all of that. But to really be present with the water and on your body, not rushing it, really be present. And I always go out and in the morning and just take some deep breath and walk around outside here and then go in. And right now I'm having a fire in here, like what you say, fireplace, because it's starting to get cold here. That's also something that I love. But it is for me to be in my own space. And even if I have the children, I go up earlier than them. So I get my own space first. That's so important for me. And I think everyone can get that, even if it is 10 minutes, 15 minutes, but to really take some deep breath and really ground yourself, whatever that looks like. But dancing for me is a way to feel into my body if there is something that feels stiff.
That's wonderful. I think moving energy is so important in the morning, especially because we wake up from long hours being in bed and the energy is stifled. So we need to allow it to move, to re energize ourselves. In Qigong practice that I like to do in the morning, you also do tapping as
Yeah.
the warm up. So you literally tap every part of your body, you tap your head, you tap everywhere, you move your neck. Before you even start doing any movements, it's
Yeah.
like reactivating, re energizing our vehicle
Yeah.
to tell the vehicle, okay, let's come online, let's be present here. And I think that's part of this, like allowing the mind, body, spirit to come together
Mm.
and find, like you said, dance, because
Yeah.
find this beautiful dance together. And I think in the dance modalities, like especially ecstatic dance, where you just allow that natural flow, we then become part of the universe. Like universe
Yeah.
is always a movement. It's always spinning, right?
Yeah.
And
It is.
every atom in our cell is spinning. Everything is spinning. It's constantly in motion. It seems like we're static, but we're not. It's just an illusion. If we see ourselves as these small spinning wheels that rotating constantly in space and time, then we able to tap and create that momentum, tap into the quantum field, tap
Yeah.
into the knowledge and the wisdom that's available, because then we become one with it. And I love how you start with the water, because there's something to the hydrogen molecules that I feel is very specific to this universal structure,
Mm.
to also allow us to tap into this network of information. The molecules of the water also, of course, hold the energy and the capacitors for information. If you put lava on it, the structure of the water will be beautiful, coherent snowflake. And then if you
Yeah.
put hate, it's not going to be coherent at all. I do notice that when they are taking a bath or when they're in the shower, when what is present, it's easier to be one with the universe, but one with plasma. Everything's plasmatic anyway. Thank you to bring in that awareness on the water. The other really modality I would say that some can practice is cold water.
Yeah.
Pouring a bucket of cold water on
It is.
yourself. I've done it several times. It's shocking to the system, but it definitely wakes you up to the here and now.
Actually, I have the sea just 10 minutes away. When you mention water, I can also, when I need to cleanse my aura, that's the best way for me. It's in the sea and go like swim under the water. My daughter, I think it was a New Year's Eve 2, 3 years ago. She was like, Mom, we have to winter bath. I was like, okay, let's do it. And I've done it several times. Of course, it's cold, but when with the breathing afterwards, it's just tingling in your whole body. The system is rewired.
Wim Hof. Wim Hof obviously is like the pioneer in this modality of breathe in and then jump into cold water. And it's, again, mind, body, spirit kind of working together. The
Yeah.
mind is always scared. It's
Yeah.
telling you it likes to be comfortable. It
Right.
doesn't want numb toes. It just likes comfort. But I feel for health reasons too, we have to do these shocks to the system. So it's
Yeah.
not always in plateau. What type of sea do you have nearby?
It's the Baltic Sea.
And it's cold, probably.
Now it is, but I mean, during the summer and in August as well, it's colder now. It is. That's also part of what you're saying. If I have made a decision, I don't care that much if it is cold. It is to be there a little bit, like a few more minutes, and then the body is adjusting. If I don't go into my mind, oh, it's cold, then I have to go. But I prefer when it's around 2021, 22.
Of course, yeah. I think it's interesting how we have to work with our mind and its belief systems, but also how it resists
Yeah,
experiences where it's a bit uncomfortable. It's like trying to find excuses. I catch myself doing that a lot too. I
yeah,
actually prefer to go into hot sauna. That's really my
yeah,
preference, to go into the cold. The Russian way is to go into the sauna and then jump into the cold water, have
yeah,
radical contrasts, or jump into the snow pile. This is a soul communication podcast. So we're talking about how do we connect to the soul, but it's important to understand that mind, body, spirit complexes, they're not separate from each other,
no,
right? So the mind is what creates the thought processes. That's what allows you to manifest, to create, to be the quantum master creator that you are. And if we don't work with our mind, then our experiences in this reality are not exactly how we maybe want them to be. How can we train our mind? And that's just one way. It's like, where's the resistance and why the
yeah,
resistance is there?
yeah. And I think as well, for me, now I'm so used to change my thoughts in an instant. Like if they come up and they are in a more doubtful way, I always go in there and change it. So I trained myself for such a long time now to start there. There's been multiple challenges the last 10 years, I would say. But there's always solutions, and there's always, for me, a way of breathing through, even if it could be some trauma coming up and trauma script. I acknowledge it immediately because for me, I know what it is like on the other side. So if I need to cry, I cry, even if it's not the right timing. I do it. So with the thoughts, I think once we really create our own strategy of how to managing it and really reprogram the thoughts, it's just there. It's for me, it's a way of living. I would say now than before.
I think you mentioned a really important piece here is the piece of reprogramming,
Yeah,
is realizing that our mind, our thoughts are malleable. They are creating realities, but we actually have control of them if we are conscious beings, realizing that we might be running patterns, right? And
yeah,
where those patterns come from? Are they ancestral patterns? Are they patterns from our childhood? Are they patterns from our society? And maybe we're consuming information from the environment around us and the movies, and that turns into patterns. How can we break that pattern? So that's the reprogramming piece of it, and build a new pattern
mm,
so that we weave in a new tapestry. We get to choose, okay, this pattern was nice. Maybe it served me for a long time,
mm,
and maybe it didn't. And now that I'm aware of this pattern that I keep on repeating, it's time for me to create a new flower,
yeah,
a new doorway, and a new tapestry, and rewrite the story. You were talking
yeah,
about the emotions. So then
yeah,
we think about it, then we experience it through our emotional body. We allow ourselves to cry, because if we don't, then we hold it back. Then
yeah,
patterns can be really broken. We have to release the pattern too. I talk often on my podcast when I do work with people and I see the energy fields, I see these like cantaloupes of balls, I would say, of blockages in their field. That's what happens if someone did not release, did not cry, did not process, and froze that specific emotion, that specific pattern and thought in their field because they didn't know how to process. It could have been a trauma from childhood. It sits in their field until they clear it out. Their container does not have enough space. So
Mm.
how can we create container and the space for that? Jai, from your experience, how have you been managing these emotional states? Because I know you've experienced in a lot of childhood trauma and human trafficking, all kinds of things. How did you get to a place where you're today finding that peace?
First of all, to be aware. I would say this. First of all, made the decision that I wanted to change. And for me, it was my behavior because
Mm.
I was angry all the time. Most of my life, up to when I was, 10 years ago, I would say, my heart was pretty closed. And I had closed the door of abandonment and adoption wound and all of that for so many years. Then it had built up emotions of resentfulness and I was angry. After the divorce, I made a decision to change my behavior and take full responsibility. So for me, it was one step at a time to start to notice my pattern and also bring in tools how I could start to work within myself. People at my workplace and so on that talked about attitude and their stories. And then I was like, I can take this tool and start to work with it within myself. So that's when I started to change my mindset, but also to acknowledge because I didn't know myself. So I wasn't aware. And I started to reflect on, looked myself in the mirror and started to ask myself questions because I've been living in denial for such a long time. And when I started to open up that door, I also started to really listen more to my body. So when I was tired or when I was exhausted, I took a nap and sometimes I called in sick. I never burn out because I learned to listen to body's language.
I love some of the tools you mentioned. So you mentioned the mirror, working with a mirror and like really seeing yourself maybe in the morning or at some point during the day, having this experience with yourself and seeing yourself not just in this physical body, but the shadows of self, the aspects of self that are
Yeah.
available, the good and the bad. You're in denial until you start observing. That idea of turning that observer effect on,
Mm.
stepping out of the story and
Yeah.
starting to see who's Jaya,
Yeah.
right? Who's Diana? What's this real story here? People sometimes ask me about past lives and they're like, why past lives matter? Why would you want to know them? If you don't want to, it's not necessary in your ascension and awakening path. For me, it's important because time is alive, time is malleable. It is like coordinates in space. So if we can go back to these coordinates that still exist and open them up and pick that piece of yourself, that aspect of yourself across space and time, then you can really see the pattern. Then
Mm.
you can really see where that specific trauma maybe is coming from because some of
Yeah.
these traumas are not only from this lifetime, they
No.
also come in through lifetimes, through different soul contracts because we reworking them, repatterning them. I did a lot of mirror work of seeing yourself, like the
Yeah.
true self, the feminine side of you, the masculine side of you, the
Yeah.
symmetries in your body, all of it, and bring it to the heart. It was powerful. I remember a moment in the ceremony to see that. It was like really seeing into who you are on all levels. It's a great tool. What other tools have you used that help you with?
When I grew up as a child, I had a lot of dreams. And most of my life until I started to notice the pattern and understand that it is actually my subconscious having messages to me was that I was constantly being chased and in a way where when they were supposed to kill me or get me, I could fly. So I was never caught. And I was like, why am I dreaming this? I watched a lot of films and series. It was also a lot of therapy in some way, because some parts from the movies and from the series was very, how can I say, it felt very familiar to me. And I didn't know why, but I let it be. And then the more I have done the self awareness, the conscious work with myself, it's been a lot of my past life. And everything unfolded. Wow. So it actually comes from there. And but now it's been more on that I can feel in the old stories can come up in situations, because it's my body who's reacting. It's not my mind, it's the body. So I would say also pay attention to your dreams. And if you don't remember, write them down. Just so you have them with you when you start to continuously do your own kind of detective pattern discovery work somehow, because they matter.
It's like being a Sherlock Holmes, multidimensional Sherlock Holmes.
Exactly.
That's why I love doing sessions for others. And that's where the QSUC, the quantum healing hypnosis work is amazing,
Yeah,
because I bring people into their past lives to see the patterns. When they in hypnosis, they're able actually to tap into these moments, and we can reopen and reactivate those coordinates in space and time. I am helping them to, as a Sherlock Holmes, to piece the story of where is this coming from, who they are, what's really the bigger perspective.
yeah,
Some people love to do Akashic readings, and Akasha is basically is a library of information. I had a whole podcast on Akasha, but I feel like just having someone else tell you what happened is not as real as you going back into those
I
lifetimes
agree.
and you experiencing yourself and all the emotions. Because you were talking about the body, I think a lot of it is in the body
Yeah,
complex. Like the body, this vehicle that we chose, it's incredible. It's entangled on so many ways
yeah,
with our aspects of the soul, but also ancestors. So when someone is experiencing that past life and they're crying or they're seeing death, like it becomes so real in that moment. They're resurfacing, they're seeing it, they're acknowledging this, the acknowledgement that you mentioned, and then embodying it,
yeah,
integrating into the complex is important. Also, I totally agree with you about the dreams. There is a modality that I studied in the therapy school, process work. The creator of this modality was saying how a lot of it is basically the astral, right? Or this
yeah,
dream space is where our thoughts are manifesting into visualizations and this abstract reality. Some of it is true, not true. There's low astral, high astral, and there's different spectrums of frequencies. And there's also beings there that going after some of those not such great thoughts and feelings and this concept of illusion. But anyway, but the dreams are important to observe,
yeah,
because if it is a recurring chronic dream, that means it's a thought that started bubbling up, becoming bigger and bigger. If we don't process it on that level in a dream space, when it's still flexible and malleable, then it will come up as a body symptom. So
mm,
every body symptom, every pain in our body, every little thing is actually connected to our energy system, to our thoughts, to where it started. But if we didn't address it, then it will come here in this reality. I call it turtle medicine, right? Pay attention. What's the message? What's the message
yeah,
behind it?
exactly.
Hopefully, at that moment, you start really observing and acknowledging, but people don't even notice that. They're like, oh, I just got sick, or I twisted my ankle, or this happened. But there's always a bigger story.
That is how I teach my clients and guide them as well, is that you're ready when you're ready. So even if you have a lot of information, you do, but when you're ready, you could also be aware. So, for example, I knew so much when I was but then it took a lot of time before I started to really integrate it. But that's also part, I think, for me to go deep and heal and continuously heal, because I can't hold space for someone else if I haven't done the work myself. That's my truth. I believe for me, that's why I'm obsessed of going deeper and get to know myself more and more, so I can be lighter in my body as well. Because that's what happened. After the divorce, 10 kilos of energy left my body. That's the emotion, but that's also what was shown on the scale. It was a lot of dense energy.
Yeah, shedding. And we right now in this eclipse corridor. When
Mm.
we're recording this, is going to be a solar eclipse in few days. And we had a lunar eclipse, and it's like a really powerful time in the year, twice a year, where we get to really shed these
Yeah.
layers of ourselves. I can really question even bigger. Am I really being true to myself? Am I
Mm.
really on my soul purpose? How much more can I expand? Where can I show up? What can I create? During the eclipses, the light is being obscured. So
Yeah.
we go into that moment of darkness, right?
Mm.
For that couple of hours. And it's realization of maybe in the dark, we get to really see the aspects of ourselves that
Mm.
need healing, or aspects of ourselves that need to be held and nourished. So I've been really thinking about this solar eclipse. We don't actually get to see with our visual eyes, but it still energetically affects us
Yeah.
because the sun is a major source of light. And physically here, it's a wormhole too. It connects us to all the other suns, and then the central sun, it connects us to the universe. And so at the moment where it's not available, or when we go at nighttime into the darkness, we go inward and we
Mm.
find in the eclipse within ourselves inner truth of who we are. We
Mm.
connect to the portal of our hearts, to our own universe that we're creating within ourselves.
Mm.
How can we create this inward processes during the eclipse period that would nourish and help us to really step up to our highest timeline if we're not on one yet? Whatever that means. The word
Mm.
highest timeline also can mean many things. It's constantly shifting. As quantum beings right now get to choose which timeline we want for ourselves personally, but also collectively. So that process is important right now, and where we're headed forward after that.
I can feel when there's been so much solar flares and how my body and my DNA and the cells are working. That wouldn't have taken place if I wouldn't have done a lot of healing and a lot of shedding, like shadow work, and to open up to channel even quicker, I would say. Because I'm very intuitive, and one of my gifts is connecting dots in everything. If I have my clients, I could guide them in the right direction. I want them to come up with their own answer, even if I can see a lot of stuff. But then I could guide them through that direction, and also subconsciously to rewire the subconscious mind. And I had no idea that I could do that I had that within me, because I haven't gone like a course or anything like that when it comes to the spiritual aspects. Everything comes within me. The more I trust and the more I just lean into why I'm here, which I think is beautiful, because I truly believe everyone has so much within them to discover.
You are the universe. The solar flashes are right now meant to activate our DNA. The amount of gamma rays that we receive, all these light particles, are here to awaken us. They are here to activate the aspects of ourselves, because we are the sun too. So it's
Yeah,
all within the holographic universe. We are the stars, and the sun is a star. It's an active star. It's a wormhole. It's here helping us to remember our truth. So it's increasing our light quotient, right? You can hold more light now in your
yeah,
container because you cleared some of the trauma. We have the pipes, the water can't flow perfectly because there's some dirty stuff that's blocking. And then the minute we clear that out, the flow of the energy, the flow of the water can just go through, because now it's all cleared up. So if our container is more expensive,
yeah,
then we can feel more of that light. Our purpose really in this ascension cycle is to hold as much light as we can in
yeah,
this physical body and activate our DNA. And I love the part about trusting. The trust is the key here.
mm,
Trust in the journey, trust in the process, trust
mm,
in that In the moment where it seems like, oh my God, this is so difficult, so intense, this constant death and rebirth process in resurrection of ourselves is challenging. I
Yeah.
always talk about it. It's like the phoenix process, redefining constantly and cleaning it out. And it's a very destructive process, but it's necessary. It's really
Mm.
necessary to step into who you are, to unpeel these layers that are no longer serving you, to come to that truth of who you are. This cosmic time we're in is really potent. We're moving quantumly through space and time right now in such accelerated speed. The universe is expanding. We are the light, like
Yeah.
every quantum biology way, every is producing AT, we're all photonic anyway. It's like you and birth, you are the universe, you have made a stardust too. So embrace
Mm.
the beautiful stardustness of you
Yeah.
on the plasmatic level of you.
Yeah.
How stable is my container? What makes it wobbly? Why is it not stable? Is it because of the emotions that I'm running and spinning around and I feel stuck? Is it the people in my field that are toxic, that not letting me be who I am? So I feel the more you are in this beautiful, synchronistic, authentic flow, the easier it is to
Yeah.
hold that container of light.
I agree. I've talked with clients, but other people as well around me right now. A lot of them are dimming their light. I used to do that as well, to not like standing my, so like you say, it's to not dim the light. And for me, one of the keys has been, who am I surrounding myself with? And because my speed of growth is pretty fast and we are on the different journey. We all are here, but for me it's been to also move on with love, and maybe we catch up later for other people, but I need to keep on moving, because otherwise I get stuck. That's something that I would recommend everyone to really pay attention, especially in this spiritual journey. What is holding you back sometimes? And that's my responsibility and yours who are listening. It's not to blame someone else or blame the outside, the out there circumstances, I would say. It's all about finding your own truth and your own voice. And that's not so easy in the beginning, but my truth is mine, yours is yours. But somehow they may also
Yeah.
intertwine, which is beautiful. That's what I believe. I think we come from the same source of love, everyone on this planet.
We are love. We are
Mm.
light. So, of course, it's all from the same source. And that's the
Yeah.
ultimate game. When I say light, that means love too. To
Mm.
hold as much love as possibly we can in this container.
Yeah.
And that means also opening your heart, like you would mention in the beginning, like your
Yeah.
heart was closed because of the traumas. How can we allow ourselves to remove any blockages or heart walls? It seemed like it was serving us because it was protecting us from feeling,
Mm.
but they served their purpose. But for us to hold as much possible love in this container, in this body, in this reality, we need to clear those walls. We really
Mm.
have to vulnerably step into the understanding that we need to be as open as we possibly can in this
Mm.
reality. And that might mean that we might get hurt here and there, but we have to trust, right? So we
Yeah,
surrender in the
exactly.
flow of the trust. I still strongly believe in boundaries. So it doesn't mean that we just victims of our circumstances either. And when I say we open and we hold that light, that also means being really solid in your container of sovereignty. I'm sovereign, I'm free. My container expands larger because of the core of sovereignty. Just because I'm open and loving doesn't necessarily mean that I'm saying yes to everything.
Oh,
Actually,
no, I
it's
agree.
more important to learn how to say no. And because we all mirrors for each other, it's interesting to observe the triggers and where they come up and why we attract to our field certain people, certain circumstances. What are they helping us see that we might not be able to see
Mm.
within ourselves? where those boundaries of sovereignty cross, and where do we speak our truth and how strong we are about it, but without being violent. I feel it's important to find that compassion and grace in our journey, but also learning how to be unapologetically bold and truthful. This is how this podcast started. I don't necessarily worry about the audience. Will they receive it right or wrong? It's more about let's just share a truth. And those who will resonate will come and listen. And those who
Mm.
don't will always put a comment. I have always some random comments on YouTube and
Yeah.
other places from someone with strong religious beliefs. And I'm like, awesome. You were triggered by this information. Great.
Mm.
Maybe it doesn't go with your strong beliefs of Christianity or whatever. It doesn't matter. I respect everything. I think everything has its place and value, but it's our perspective of reality. It's all valid. But yet, as we hold this container, how do we learn how to be ourselves?
Yeah. And I think as well that for me, it's been to hold grace for myself, that everything is a learning process. So, what you said, for me, it's been a journey to set my boundaries because I'm an empath. So, I also attracted a lot of people who loves to be in my light. That's also people who I have then discovered, okay, you're gaslighting me. Okay, this is a big no. But I had to go through it to really acknowledge ourselves that this is part of the journey. We are mirroring everything. Everything is a learning and like an opportunity to learn something about ourselves. It's a playground and a school for ourselves.
That's what I always say.
Spiritual
It
school.
is a school,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So to have fun with it as well, to have fun with the healing part. Because sometimes it's been so dark and so tough and painful when I'm in it, even if I know on the other side it's going to be so relieving and liberating. Now I'm more like to have a little bit fun with it and start to laugh also with myself when I'm having some kind of thoughts coming up repeatedly, since it's not linear either. So then I go back sometimes and attract someone in again. And I'm like, okay, why is this happening again? Okay, come on. What's the pattern? What's the dots here?
Yeah, did I learn that? Did I learn that lesson? It's obviously coming back around, so I
Yep.
guess I did not learn it. How else would I know? So I didn't pass that test, so I had to take
Yeah.
that test again. Okay, thank you, universe, for bringing it back to me because obviously I need to try again, and maybe
Yeah.
I'll get a better grade this time. Yeah. Jaya, so in terms of channeling, how do you know what is channeled information versus not channeled information?
For me, it is information and the feeling of certainty. Intuitively, I just know it's the truth. It's direct. I'm also very careful if I'm channeling information, which I do more and more now for other people. I have my ritual with my setting my own energetic protection or whatever you want to say, like I'm being in my own space energetically. It's an inner certainty, I would say. A masculine energy as well, because it's so direct. So I just know. Because then I tap into my intuitively knowing it's the truth. So it is both energies that combines.
It's like the
Yeah.
feminine is magnetic and the
Yeah.
information, because it's quantum packets of information, the electrical, right? Because it's nature of reality that's plasmatic, right? So it crosses, like the way I see it, it's like almost like in our brain, the brain circuits, we have all these neuro connectors, right?
Yeah.
So as tapping into it, you magnetizing that information to yourself, to
Yeah.
your field, and then it starts like breaking down and digesting. So your software, your vehicle is digesting what it's trying to say. And the only way to know is through the truth feeling or this like strong omniscience, the inner
Yeah.
knowing. This is the
In the knowing.
information
Thank
and the
you. In
system.
the knowing. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, and omniscience, all knowing. That information is all constantly available. Not to go too deep into the quantum aspect of it. I was just listening to Nassim Haramehn's explanation of the Planck theory. And it's like these plunks, like little wormholes. They're constantly spinning. They're always around us to tap into all these wormholes. And through them, we like pull in this information into here and now. The key now is to unpack it. We got this beautiful package of so much. And that's the Sherlock Holmes aspect of it. How do
Yeah.
I filter through it as quickly as I can to get to the most important part of what
Yeah.
is really necessary? Because there's also maybe a lot of stuff in there that's noise. For me, I feel like an energy pool. When the download comes,
Mm.
it happens so quickly. It's like an insight. It's like this deep, profound insight and aha moment. The more aha moments you have in these days, then you know in, then you have in downloads.
Mm.
They all just make
Exactly.
sense. You just get
Yeah.
all the answers. So we're playing aha games universally right now.
We
Like,
are.
oh, now
Yeah.
you're ready. Here you go. Yeah.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
sometimes we have to ask. We have to pose the question, and then the aha moment might not happen in that instance, but you might get it a little delayed on when you drive in on doing something else because
Mm.
you're more in that space to receive it. When you get it, you're like, ah, that explains that other thing I was thinking about. That all like weaves together. And then you all of a sudden start seeing the patterns
Yeah.
and seeing how your tapestry should now open up in a different way. So, yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much, sister, for coming on and
Thank you
your
for having.
beautiful experiences. How can someone find you if they want to do work with you?
Oh, the quickest way is through Instagram, which is my name, Jaya Jankert, or on Facebook. It's also my name. So you could just send me a message there and I respond. I respond on Messenger, I respond on Instagram as well. But that's the quickest way. It is.
Beautiful. Thank you. I think soul guidance is so important these days. And you and I are doing this work for others
Yeah.
because people sometimes just get a little lost on the journey and they just need, when you come to a path and it's, do I go left? Do I go right? Do I
Mm.
go forward? And if you have those people that can just help you because they've done the work or they have a little more insight or receive insight and ready to receive it for you, it's always helpful to ask for guidance and for help. I encourage others to seek it out, whether from us or from your friends, and build your network of those who will validate and confirm for you. Ultimately, you are, of course, the guru. You have all the insights, but it's always nice to get confirmations. And that's why I love having this beautiful group of souls that I can go to and confirm my insights with. Are you getting the same ping as I do? And
Yeah.
then, oh yeah, they're like, okay, perfect. So I think we always like mirroring each other to be
Yes,
validating too.
absolutely.
That's such a beautiful journey. Thank you,
Thank
sweetie. Thank you. We'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode. For more information, please visit the website
TianaDivine.com.
We are offering different programs, workshops, retreats, as well as one-on-one work such as quantum healing hypnosis, crystalline soul healing, and more on sourcelanguage.org, offering a digitized course. It's self-paced where you can open up to your divine gift of light language. I'm Diana Mara Divine, and keep connecting with your higher self